live. This is Untitled Chapter. We're back live because we got this a storm attack. We got a storm attack here. Not gonna track itself, so we do need to track it. So without further ado, we'll let people start to filter in, and we'll get started here in a second. How is everybody doing? Force the link to X here. Volume off. Bermani, how we doing? Michael Phillips, welcome. How are y'all doing? How was your Christmas Eve? We have Christmas tomorrow, so this stream won't be as long as last night. Don't worry, but we are going to go in depth here, and I also think, guys, I think we're going to make a threat map. So stay on for this one. We're going to make a threat map. I'm pretty sure, because I didn't make one before the last system. Not this one. But I didn't. I just couldn't. I did not have the time to do it. And for many, it was not a major system, but for Maine, it was. I mean, we had the right idea, obviously, but we just, I thought that area. I thought we could get some double digits. I certainly thought we mentioned it, guys. I think we could get some double digits. I didn't necessarily think we would get as many 15 to 18-inch totals as we got. So that's inverted trough, though. You got to remember, those things just surprise. Those things just consistently surprise. And that's just how it works. It was a real big-time inverted trough, too. Not a mini one. So let's source the link to X here. Okay. I just don't know if I can come back to the platform here. Got the YouTube noti tonight. Awesome. Hit a mega. How are we doing? Christmas Eve has 19 minutes left for folks on the East. Rich the Italian plumber, how we doing? Are you from Auburn, Sturbridge? You're from Worcester County, right? If I'm not mistaken, Rich. I could be wrong. Worcester? I forget. I think you're local. I forget, but so come on in. We're gonna have a good time. Enjoy your Christmas Eve. I know. Be a little tired, guys. Be a little tired waking up tomorrow. If you got to wake up early for Christmas, depending on whenever your family sets the time for. Come on, we got stuff to break down here. So we're gonna make a threat map too. So you guys should stay Southbridge. That was it. Thanks. So stay tuned for that. I think we're gonna open up Photoshop and we're gonna make a threat map. But like I was saying, I just don't know if we can get back to X here. I just don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I accidentally, when I was switching between my my personal account and obviously the weather account, I accidentally clicked on it, and for a second some tweets loaded up, and it was already just, I was like, get me out of this as fast as possible. So I just can't. I just don't know, guys. I just don't know. It's just model watching. It's people just watching models, talking about models. Sports Illustrated. That's the kind of models you just be talking about instead of the weather ones, because I mean, this is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. The model watching goes on every storm, guys. We forecast for the end result, and we talked about it last night. Yeah, fire me up, Bermani. Fire me up, Hidden Mega. Let's freaking do this. We got some stuff that we got a storm to track here. But yeah, and we're breaking down what's going to be happening. Yes, yeah, there was a pocket of about 10 to 18 inches there, in Southwest Maine and even close to down East Maine. Close, not quite, but yeah, up into Central Maine, Southwest Maine, there was a pocket of about 10 to 18 inches. And again, we said some double digits were possible, but and I thought for a second maybe, but it's such a stretch. You never want to explicitly forecast some of those higher end totals and it not be the case. So I'm kind of happy to be just a little bit below. Like some I know definitely weren't picking up on that, but I'm glad we able at least picked up on it, highlighted that there could be some potential for some double digit. We were highlighting some double digit totals where possible, and certainly that not only hit but overdid that by a good amount. So again, come on in here, guys. We're gonna break this down. We got a little bit of Christmas music going on in the background. We're gonna make a threat map as well. We're gonna break this down here. What my thoughts are. They're honestly not all that unchanged though from last night. We talked about it, and we kind of saw what the models did, and I'm kind of aligning with my thoughts, or at least getting pretty close to them. I would say. So. I will admit, I am concerned about the ice potential though with this, and we'll get into that. So we're gonna open up COD first. We're gonna open up COD first. And we're going to show you guys where our system is at right now. Get our pen tool. Eventually it will come. Kevin, what's going on as well? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well. Yep. Merry Christmas to all. And to all a good night. No. But yes, to all a good night. Remember, don't wake up and try to look for Santa, guys. Don't look up. Don't try to go waking up for Santa. I'm not going to bring you presents then. Remember that. Make sure you got to sleep the whole night, otherwise you don't get presents. And then look for a Euro Run banger in your stocking as well. And then we'll also talk about Monday. I really think I'm still not. I know what the models show right now. I think we had some positive trends if we are going to convert a major snowstorm for New England on Monday, Tuesday. I'm not giving up on that. I'm not giving up on that system. Again, we always highlighted that it certainly wasn't possible that it could be too far north for us to get into. We highlighted that, but I'm not ready to give up on that. I think models could be underestimating the block, and we'll discuss that. But here's our system currently, and this is why I told you guys I'm not leaning low on the QPF. Look how dynamic this system is. And the reason is you got to take past history, guys. Past systems, all these systems rotating through the Pacific. Have we really underachieved on any of the QPF for any of these systems? Now, again, you don't always. Every system is different. We talk about that, but it's a North Stream. It's a repetition of the North Stream here. Have we yet to really can you guys think of one? Let me know if you have, because I don't think we have. Santa Claus needs to bring me the snow. That too. Because there hasn't been one yet. and it's very evident on the satellite to support that. Look at the look at the moisture tail on this system. The moisture tail, it goes back to Hawaii. Look at that. That your moisture tail connects back to Hawaii here in the subtropical jet here. And we have the subtropical jet going here as well. So I'm going to be curious to see here, and here, like you can see the subtropical jet active into this pattern here. You can see the big ridge, the dome of high pressure we have over, and this is going to go on top of that. This is going to go around that. Specifically where it goes around that will be the key. Specifically where. That will be the exact key. And I honestly think, tomorrow, we're going to get a pretty good idea of what's going to be happening. I think tomorrow we're going to get a pretty good idea. Now, yeah, it's self-explanatory. I guess the day and a half before the storm, like you should get a decent idea. But you guys know that's not always the case. Sometimes it's like until like literally almost to the storm, we're trying to pinpoint stuff. I think we should have now. Here's the tricky part. Here's the tricky part. We talked about this. These warm air advection events, more times than not, what tends to happen is, yes, you get a press from the northeast, and we'll go to the other section. This is a little. There we go. Yes, you get this. So you got your high pressure after this system rolls through. So guys, tomorrow as well, I forgot to mention, flurries and light snow. Some minor accumulation here possible for central and northern New England. Snow showers, maybe a dusting into interior southern New England, but some light. You see the system moving through. There's going to be some flurries here. I don't know about New York City, but especially to the north, there's going to be some flurries. And then take a look at our current system. We talked about it. Look at her. She's a beaut, Clark, right? She's an absolute beauty. She's an absolute tank of a system that's going to dump, and probably is dumping in Newfoundland right now. Joe Weather, how we doing? Yes, Merry Christmas. We're going to talk about it. I think Long Island's in a decent spot, though. We're going to talk about it and stay on to. We're going to make a threat map. We'll open up Photoshop, and we're going to make a threat map. But here's our system. Amplify, guys. Should let you know how good of a high pressure we're going to have for a system this amplified in this position. Isn't it a little strange? So it's kind of there's nothing to this. This is more of an eye test thing. But when I see this kind of system, it really makes me hard to believe that northern extent of that moderate to heavy snowfall is not going to be able to push. Now, it doesn't work like that, the atmosphere, because as you can see the flow already of where this is going to go. This is going to be, you can see your high pressure here to the north. You can see the confluence in behind here that will set in. Remember, we said this. Yes, this is pretty much, you have your high pressure locked in, but you do have a minor confluence piece that will play a notable part. So this is why I'm saying I think tonight it will not be extremely clear. I think I have an idea of how this is going to shape out, and that's why we're going to make a threat map, because I think I have a decent idea of how this might shape out, but I'm not fully sold yet. I'm not locked in to any one solution really quite yet. But I think we saw some of the guidance today start to shift more towards what we talked about last night. And again, it's staying ahead of the guidance, guys. The goal is to get the end result. It's not to follow the models. It is not to follow the models. And that's why I'm not. I can't really see myself going on a WX player. Honestly, I could, and I just wouldn't look at anybody's posts. And I would just post myself, and I'm not sure I would even mention. Would you guys appreciate that if I were to come back? and just post stuff and not take it personal that I don't answer your replies and stuff like that, because it kind of kills me. I don't want to come off like a like a dick, but it does. Yeah, I'm not trying to get YouTube unmonetized, because I'm not trying to get anywhere obsessed with any of that stuff again. I'm trying to avoid getting out of that, but you guys can let me know, because I just don't. I really don't have a lot of interest in navigating any of that stuff, dimensions, anything, and but I also do, for the people that do really enjoy my analysis. So uh, I got some messages like, why aren't you on Twitter anymore? It's, some people are, hoping that I can, keep providing my analysis on there, and but I gotta do what's best for me at the same time. That's tricky. I could turn off comments, Kevin. I could, but I despise some of that stuff as well. Like, it's like I don't want to prevent people from being able to like shunt people off as well. So, um, it is what it is. But I do think you're in a decent spot, Kevin, too. You and I are probably right in line. You and I, Kevin, are probably going to be almost exactly. We're, in terms of longitude, I think we're like a very similar spot. Very similar. So you and I might do pretty similar for this event. But speaking of our event, here it is, and you can see this is really dynamic, almost a two-part system here of the initial compactness of it, and then the overall arching extent of the overall precip, and some really impressive moisture. This thing has a really impressive moisture tail that it's leading into. Only low in the QPF here. This thing is going to have the juice. I'm telling you, this is going to have the juice. I think we're going to be talking about that peak band. I think a half inch to as much as an inch of QPF here. Yes, I said it. Maybe even as much as an inch of QPF here is possible. Whoever gets the best. And the crazy thing is, it may not, who gets the most QPF may not get the most snow here. A lot of times you can say that's the case. This may not be one of those events due to the interior ratios. So here's our event here. Here's your high pressure that's locking in here. So this is the cold that will continue to work. See, it's working its way through here. And this is what's going to help. And this is going to work as a confluence piece. And it's going to slide through here. And this is our storm system here. This large thing here. This large beam. Oh, you are farther east than me? Oh. Well, we're close, I think. Oh, maybe you are a little bit. Really, you can? I don't know, because you're near stores, right? But not by that much. We'll probably we'll probably do similar, if I had to guess. But I think you are in a decent spot. Oh, farther west. I was gonna say I don't think you're farther east. I think you're a little bit though. Well, I think you're just a little. I don't think you're that much. Because I'm basically one town south of Worcester, basically. Southeast. So you can do the math there, but I think this is progressing out pretty well to allow some people, for repeat offenders, to get good snow, and then other people to kind of lock in. Oh crap. Yo, Joe, save your money, my man. Stop paying. That's insane. Yeah, major W for Joe there. That should you should all should like his comment. Yeah, so you can throw up the W's in the chat for sure. Merry Christmas. Don't let others ruin your love for the gift you have for weather. Now let's get 5+ on Long Island. I like that idea. I think Long Island is in a better spot than New York City to stay all snow. I don't know though if Long Island will see more snow than New York City. I know that's a kind of a conundrum, but I'm uncertain. I'm uncertain about the specifics of that, but I think Long Island is in a good spot, especially the north side of Long Island. I think it's in a good spot. But let's kind of break down. What do we got? What do we got cooking here? Remember, we look at 500 millibars, so we can obviously see this is dynamic, guys. Remember, right? We can obviously see this is dynamic. Again, I appreciate you, Joe, a lot. I wish you wouldn't spend so much money on a comment like that, but I will not take it. How many people that get super chats ever say, "I wish you didn't spend"? There's not too much. That just lets you know my mindset. I'm making sure that you're not putting yourself into any financial hardships here. By being, is Boston in a good spot? No, but I think it will do better than some people think. So, and we're going to talk about the cutoff. The cutoff in Massachusetts might be a little bit different. The cutoff in Massachusetts might work a little bit differently. There's an enhancement aspect to this as it moves through, and I got to look more into it a little bit as well. But there's a cure. You're not going to end up with nothing, I think, in Boston. But you're not favored to see the most out of this. I thought initially maybe a couple days ago, but at the moment, I think it's a little sketchy. What we're gonna do, we're going into it. Okay, we're going into the core here. So let's lock in here. You can obviously see, guys, this is a very dynamic system, very dynamic profile. This is gonna have you can see where attached. Let's look at the subtropical jet here. The tail of it that's kicking into the system. This is gonna provide the juice. You can even see Gulf getting going a little bit too. Convection. If we tap it, how much we tap into that, especially off the Atlantic, that will play a part. We'll see about the specifics of that. Again, you can keep throwing up W's in the chat for Joe as well, because that was a major Christmas gift. So Joe is one of my most loyal. He's also a member on the channel. If you do wish to be a member, you can. There's some very cheap ones, and there's some not necessarily expensive ones. That's more so. Yeah, it's basically private consulting. It's basically that's what some of those higher level, and they're designed like that to answer some of that stuff. But mostly it's football stuff. Are designed for in terms of the membership stuff. So if you decide you want to, it's not necessary at all. Yes, Rich, W for Joe. Hey, as long as I see something, no matter how minuscule, I will take it. I think you'll get something. I think you'll get something in Boston. I think you'll get something, and I'll stick to that. Even though I think the cutoff will be sharp, I don't think it will be. The cutoff to sharp to the initial heavier spanning will be certainly present. But in terms of the light stuff that moves in on the second half, and we'll discuss that, I don't think that will be as sharp. It's kind of a unique setup, because look at the 500 millibar, guys. 500 millibar tells me, in theory, that this whole area here should be looking at some snowfall, and really, it's really the entire area up to there we'll be getting some snowfall out of this. That's what 500 millibar shows, and it never lies. There's always stuff to take away. Will DC area start getting January better snow? Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, Merry Christmas to all that celebrate. If you don't celebrate, you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. But happy Hanukkah as well to those that are Jewish. Happy Kwanzaa as well. I guess happy everything. Happy holidays, right? To everybody. I can't list off everything, but take notes here. This is why, yes, the cutoff will be sharp for the heaviest. In fact, it may only enhance the frontogenesis we get in this case, because you have great high pressure placed that eventually gets squeezed out. How much, we'll see. But you also have a confluence piece in place. And here's the thing, though. Look at the confluence. There is no confluence over here. The confluence is further to the east, which makes me really skeptical that expansion of the warm air advection in terms of that heavier precip is not going to be able to expand well into southern New England, not just extreme southwestern southern New England. Like, I really think this could be some overperformance here into some of these areas. The northern edge of these warm air advections, more times than not, the expansiveness of the dynamics. Because a lot of times what you have to look at here, guys, is you go to the nose of the low-level jet. Here's a little tip that you can take in your stocking. You go to the nose of the low-level jet here, and you can see this is even further north than it was at 12Z. You see that? And for this, and you can go, typically, it can range, but typically about 50 to 100 miles from the nose of that. So that would get us to, you can go about right here-ish. I'm guessing that's about 50 to 100 miles. And really, it's kind of within here. And that kind of lines up with there. Right about here. If you want to look at the guidance to get an idea of where exactly could some of this heavier precipitation go. And in here, I would be looking at within the nose, within the core of the LLJ, the low-level jet, I'd be looking at the core of the, do you need to worry about sleet in Westchester? I don't think so. I don't think so. New York, I don't even know so in New York. If, again, I said in New York City, if you do, it will be after damage done, I think, in New York City, or at least significant damage done. I think after significant damage done. You want to know a hot take for this event, too, as we start getting into things? I think southern Vermont, those higher elevations, Vermonster, WX, Mitch, if you know him, you know. I think this could end up being the event highest total, potentially. Them and Catskills and Poconos. And it's not, this is not elevation dependent, though. But higher elevation, you just get better ratios. This could be a hot take, but I truly think it's possible. I think it's possible as we get closer to the event. We'll see about that. That could be a bit of a stretch that far north, but we'll see. But when you tend to get these, this is what we're looking at. You look at the low-level jet here, which you can see right about here. You go from the nose of it, from the nose of the core, go about 50 to 100 miles from it. And that's typically where you'll see your heaviest snowfall. Along that core into the north. Here as well gets into it. That's not it. We're not talking about missing out there. I'm just saying that's tend to where you see the heaviest. A lot of times. And as this moves through, you still get the juice here. These places. You're not concerned here. This is the wild card. We talked about it. This is the wild card with this event. Up into here. This is the wild card. How long can you hold on to the cat? Dynamic cooling. How much can dynamic cooling work? Usually, models underestimate the beginning, and then eventually it comes barreling through. Mitch and Vermont always overperforms, yeah. Tends to be the case. That's because people can't forecast for 2,000 feet, 5-mile radius, so it's tricky. But DC, to answer your question, DJ Slank, man, we'll be in a better spot, I think, into January than we are now. But that doesn't guarantee you anything, to be clear. So keep that in mind. Never forget when he got absolutely clobbered in December in 2024, 40 inches. Did he get that? Evan, I'm betting on the NAM. Yeah, the NAM might have been a little too far north, maybe, but it certainly highlights the potential. So that's how you can use it, the NAM, as to help highlight it. But how is Long Island looking for Friday, Saturday? I think Long Island's in a pretty good spot here. And we're going to make a threat map for the second half of this stream if you're curious. So be on the tune for that. But I think the Euro AI, I think it's pretty close to what we might see here. I think it may be pretty close. Now, here's the thing, though. Your 850 lines are not the warm nose. Your warm nose is closer to 650 to 700. It's pretty high up there. So 700 temps are going to be a little bit better. Even then, though, you can see how it's a little higher than 700 even. Because obviously, not all these places are going to stay all snow. But it also lets you know the margins may be slim enough for dynamic cooling to win over. You see how the warm nose at 700 here? Look at all these places. 1, 1, 0. It's just above. It's just above freezing. So assuming that's similar case, yes, the high level warm nose, it does absolutely. You were kind of phrasing it better. I was trying to think about how I wanted to phrase it, but given how high the warm nose is with this, like this is not like a 7 to 800 mil. This is like almost higher than 650. It might be even closer to 625 to be honest. But it's around 650 to 700. The peak of the warm nose just above 700. But it does go to show. So my question is here, I believe in these areas, you go from Trenton to Bensalem, Allentown, up towards central, I don't know about Reading. That could be tricky, but Harrisburg, no, I don't think so for this event. Sorry. Just don't. State College, I don't think so either. Trying to think of more places in between. Definitely really not really loving any of these places with this event. But some places also will like snow for a second, like literally maybe like 30 minutes, dump, and then just go to sleep in ice right away. It's going to be a pretty notable ice storm in a lot of these places here. Probably pretty notable. We're probably going to be talking about potential for over a quarter inch of freezing rain. I agree with your hunch about further north, well above climatology ratios will make it. The ratios, I'm telling you, think about example, a good warm air advection. Think about December 2020, different setup, not the same setup. Much more potent upper level divergence in jet core, and also a much more potent 500 millibar. But we talk about those bands; they just always tend to find themselves a little bit further. And then also, you also tend to see in this case, you're gonna have snow off of that. It's not just there's gonna be a cutoff from the heaviest. There will be. It will be sharp. But this is there, and there's going to be a sharp cutoff in terms of QPF itself as well. But this is something guidance is picking up on, and there's still, and you can see it at 500 millibar here. You can see it. Look at the energy profile here. The 500 millibar, I tell you guys, it never lies. It never freaking lies. I'm telling you. This is well inland, the 500 millibar profile. I mean, look at it. It's well inland here, which means we still have dynamics that still need to move through, and combine that with the fact we're still going to be saturated. Take a look here. saturation is not the problem. Like we can clearly, my pitch gets high, not a problem. Any of these places here, not a problem. But take note of the best saturation, the best dynamics, all going to be centered a little bit further, so you can see that it just goes to show that you can see the difference, that cutoff from about here-ish. You see that? And then it drops down a little bit, and then very sharp the edge. Very sharp the edge of this will be. So this is not going to go. So this is not going to go so far north due to the sharp cutoff. Strong cold air present, confluence to the east as well. That's why the cutoff looks like what it is, because typically we talk about the confluence working to the north, from west to east to the north placed. This time the confluence goes from the east, and that's why the cutoff looks like this as well, from the northwest to the southeast. So that's the orientation of the setup. But take a look here. When you have this saturated of a profile, 700 and 850, take a look. So this will show you a little bit better how sharp it will be. And then your 850s, so you're not getting precip. You're not getting precip probably past Maine, to be honest. I don't know, maybe some. You might get some. But you're not getting really any notable accumulations. Probably past Massachusetts and southeastern New Hampshire at the max. You might see IVT setup. It's not quite an IVT though. It's not quite. It's just that it's really more so. There's just more dynamics, and then also this is not just New England. This will be the case as well for New York City. And it's also why some places on the backside after the initial warm air advection push, there's almost going to be a bit of a transfer here. Notice what happens. I'll zoom out a little bit as well. So this is kind of a little bit of a unique warm air advection bend setup. Notice that initial low pressure system here, right? You have this initial low pressure system, and even you can see here to the north here, you can see some of these 1002, I believe, tower that's 1008. But let me zoom out a little bit more. I don't want to spit out of my behind. But take notice is it's almost a little bit of a transfer. You see the low pressure jump in 6 hours from here to offshore. You see that? You see that jump there? So there's almost a little bit of a transfer of the low pressure itself. And when you do that, you're going to allow cold air to start to win out then. Because now your warm air advection air push stops. You see, look at the collapse now. You see it collapse. And now some of these areas here, you still have more dynamics. You're still plenty well saturated. And you're still gonna get snowfall to move through. And this will be high ratio snow. This will be very high ratio snow. Models always underdo the northern extent of the WA. December 20, different setup like we said, yeah, but nonetheless, good example. You might see IVT. Trend today overall has been north, slightly stronger shortwave, results in higher heights over northeast, pushing confluence further east. Yes. Yes. Hey, I'm in Hartford, Connecticut. Do you think we'll get more than 3 inches? I would be shocked if Hartford. I think Hartford is maybe one of the best spots. I think Connecticut, dare I say Connecticut, not often do we say this. Now, the elevation, some of the elevation different. But in terms of just regular, non-elevated places, I think Connecticut may be one of the best spots for this system here. You could argue Hudson Valley could be a little bit better, maybe. But man, Connecticut's going to be in a great spot for this. I think Connecticut is a very good spot for this. Thank you. Enjoy listening and learning. Well, thank you, Kevin, for coming in. December 2020 had a bullseye shift north. Big shift north, sorry. The Southern New England was the bullseye on models. I remember that. Can you imagine, Kevin? Can you imagine if we were the bullseye for that? Think about what happened to the north there. Remember, let's remember December 2020 here. There was no guidance showing 3 to 4 feet of snow up here. None. Not even close. Not even, maybe 18 inches maybe we got on some of those. Maybe. There was none. And it just goes to show when you have such a dynamic setup like that, how things can. And this is where the peak of the totals were, right in here. It was not as high as these totals here were. There were no 4-foot total. There were like multiple, I think, 4-foot totals in New Hampshire, and like a 46er in Vermont. So that was an insane. That was a unique setup as well, to each its own. But my point being here is, let's take a look at the profile. So we go to the northeast so we can see we're still precipitating at this time in the form of snow now. Look at the collapse now of the cold air. So now it's almost like an IVT, but not quite. It's really not. IVT can get a little bit overused. There's 700. Freaking cold. Look at this point. Everybody's snowing -8 to -13. Especially from New York City, from north of New York City, we're -10 to -12. Even -13 at 700. Oh, this is now. Sorry. Oh, this is current. Sorry. My bad. Reset. Reset. I think it may not be that different, though. My mistake. Wait, this is 12Z. Give me 18. No, why is it skipping? For frick's sake. You gotta know how frustrating that is. 718Z. I gotta know what hour, though. Was it this one? Yeah. 66. 8, 6, 7, 5. Yeah, okay. Well, still a similar point remains, just not quite as far south. So now at this point, you're -5, right? So a little bit more, but especially across lots of New England, you're -8 to -12 at 700, and then look what you are at the surface too. So here's the thing: the timing of this event is only going to help too. It's overnight into the morning is the peak time frame, or evening into morning is the time frame. So that's a peak time frame for snow accumulation too. You're not worrying, and now when you're snowing so heavy, you're not going to see as much meltage, but it only helps when you do it at night. It only helps. So I'm a pro nighttime guy for snow. It also films better, for me at least. So, I kind of think it's kind of peaceful when nobody else is up and you're just sitting there like a fiend, just watching snowfall. I think it's kind of fun. But if we go to surface temps, woo. Teens and snowing. Teens. Might be cooler at the surface than a few hundred millibars higher. That might be the case here. So look at all these, especially just off the coast. Literally just off the coast. All these places here. Teens. And even into North Jersey. Low to mid-20s. Still into the 20s here, a lot of these places. Even along the coast there, you're still 25, 28, even along the coast. High ratio snow. So yes, sharp cutoff for the heaviest stuff, but there's still going to be stuff to move through after. And that's why I think Boston, yes, we'll get some snow out of this. $19 degrees and a half inch of QPF would be crazy good ratios. Yes, it would be very good ratios. Now, remember, it's temperature throughout the column that plays a part. So some of these Kuchera maps might be overdoing it just a little bit. Just a little bit. Some of these. So I'm not sure how much to take from some of these, from some of those maps, but it is what it is. Let's see, how far are we out here? All right, seems like we're rolling out here. Are we a little south from last one? No. Look at the height. Look at it. You see look at the difference here. This run is going to see. You see how this fans out more versus being pressed. That's your key takeaway here. More consolidated. You can see those height lines rise up. I mean, this is going to be. Whoa! Look at that. Banger of a run right there. And I think it's even, you see, you got another level of QPF there. It's almost ½ inch of QPF in 6 hours. Yes, you're very welcome for that answer. I think Hartford's in a great spot. I think Hartford has a better chance to see 6+ inches of snow rather than less than 3. And that might be a hot take, but I think that's going to be the case. And take a look at this. Even on the second frame, look how much you're holding on better here. This run is going to be... What's the QP? Look at that. Holding on for longer. Oh, I love it. I freaking love it. What a banger. What do we got for QPF here? Lord have mercy. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Look at this widespread area of a ½ inch QPF plus. So this is your 0.4 line. And this is what I'm talking about with Southern Vermont. We may end up seeing them. We may end up seeing them get the highest totals out of this. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if we're talking about somewhere here in Vermont just getting like 14, 15 inches of snow and just surpassing us all. But this is going to be an event that's going to do pretty well because let's see, they don't show it. It's my favorite Christmas gift so far. Yeah. I mean, you take a look. 18Z, OZ. Love to see it. More QPF. Now, models aren't everything, but the Euro AI, as you get really close, we saw it with the last event too. Euro AI was fantastic with the last event. Every run, every event is different, but this is the AI machine learning models are the only ones I put more weight on in the operationals. The only one, and even then, sometimes I disagree with what they're showing. This is the future of models right here. This is the future, and it's not close. I'm sorry, your operationals are no bueno compared to these. They're good if you know how to use them, the operationals. These are better. They don't go as much run to run. They stay consistent. Now, the only thing you could say in remarks to that is, well, what if it's late picking up to a trend and then it just slowly caves to something? That's certainly could be the case, but you have a little bit more consistency. There's not oftentimes going to jump run to run as much. But take a look at the difference. That's combining some. There's 12Z. You see from 12Z earlier today to OZ. I mean, we got 3/4 of an inch of QPF out here, guys. Let's say you're going to be 15 to 1, let's say, for example. Let's say you're 15 to 1, so that's 7 plus, let's say, we'll round up to 4. Right there, that's 11 inches of snow. Let's say you're 18 to 1, or close to that. So that's going to be 6 out of 7 there. So you add 6. You add 7 and 6 together, you get 13. And that's your pathway to getting double digits. So that's why I think we talked about it in area of 6 to 12. I still really like that idea, and I would even throw a plus on there now. Because look how this thing's coming ashore. This does not suggest lean low on QPF. None of this does. This guy is a tank. This is an absolute tank. Start monitoring some of those rainfalls out here from this storm. If you want to do it, that might help give you an idea. If You see some of those rainfall forecasts out here start exceeding what they were. Now some of this might be snow. I don't know. I don't think so though. I was looking at air temps. They were like in the 40s, pretty far north. So this is where the juice. This is where the juice is right now. And then we get to see tomorrow and Friday morning how much does the Gulf open up for business too. But look at the tail of this, and this is going to slide east here. You have your dome, you have your ridge here, so you can only push this out some. But this tail, the fetch of moisture into the system is fantastic. You can even look at we're looking at mid-level water vapor. Take a look at low level. And that's why I said I didn't really agree with. So a few days ago, I didn't necessarily agree with some of the QPF. Remember how low the system was with QPF. I mean, look at this tail. This is low level water vapor. It's even juicier behind here. There's your high pressure. I mean, this is so strong here. You're even getting the low-level water vapor to extend out into this massive dome of high pressure here. Look how dry it is out here, and you're getting such a moisture fetch here. It's impressive. It's impressive. And then here's your Gulf as well. So we'll see how much we get to tap into that. That could only help enhance things. In my opinion, I think we're looking at a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of QPF here. And remember what I said. We're gonna get some pretty. So we'll use the euro because I don't want to use it specifically, but. First, let's see how it looks. That looks pretty solid. Indeed it is. Looking pretty solid. You just see the fanning. It's a more consolidated 500 volt profile. It's fanning out more, extending. It's not as sheared out. It's giving it more room to breathe here. There's more room for this to breathe back here. So that is what's going to allow also more time for this precipitation to move through. And I wonder about the impacts that happens on the system behind. Because now I really love what we're doing on some of this stuff. I just don't love the placement, how far north the blocking is on the one behind. We'll talk about that in a second. And then we'll go make a threat map. And you hear my dog in the background. Give him a couple pats. But 700. That 700 band is. You look here. Right here should all be cooking. All be cooking right here. Let's see what the P-type map shows. And it's not there yet, for frick's sake. But this is why I'm not so concerned. I know we have people in New York City, Long Island that are probably trying to freak out right now. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right, don't do it. Look at 700, guys. I mean, it is going to crank snow. It's going to crank snow. That's a little farther north than I would love to see it if I were New York City, but still, look at the timing of it. You'll thump. You'll thump. And look at those dynamics that still need to move through. Euro is so sharp with that cutoff of just any snow. I'm not sure I agree with that. But that looks solid. That looks really solid. But look at it. You have the confluence to the east, and yes, you have your high pressure, but you still have this funnel here of moisture for here to work through. And that's it. All this still has to move through here, and now you're tapping into the Atlantic a little bit. You see that? There's some southerly flow there off the Atlantic. Now you're tapping into that. As more dynamics move through, we talk about this. This tends to do well in southern New England. Maybe almost a little bit of a coastal front setup, maybe, if we get that southerly wind off the ocean. I wonder. On the second half. But not strong enough to really... the cold air is going to be pressing so much I wouldn't be concerned. RHP 5203 with 10. I appreciate it so much. No, it's not 50. No, I'm just kidding. I really appreciate it. I don't take that for granted. If anybody donates, I will go to them first, because I really shouldn't be getting anything, but I don't take it for granted. Was there a comment you had? Merry Christmas. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you. When the Euro AI locks inside on. Now, there's some shifts here that could happen still with the Euro AI, but as we're seeing. But as we get closer, the fact it's locking into this more, I don't think it's hurting our chances here for southern New England, Connecticut included, Hudson Valley. I think New York City's in a good spot. I think Long Island's in a good spot. I think North Jersey's in a good spot. I think Northeast PA's in a good spot. And I'm a little bit more concerned now about than I was yesterday. A little bit. Not because of the models. Just barely because of the models. Barely. It's more so about understanding these warm air advection events. When you have such a high warm nose, I mean, it's going to be hard to stop it. It really is. And it's just going to be dynamic cooling and then eventually switch. And so I'm a little lower on somewhere like Philly. Questionable about Trenton, Reading, Allentown, Bensalem. I don't know. A little sketchy. Should I be concerned? If that happened, I would be happy. Yeah, this Euro run is going to be fantastic, and some people might freak out. I don't know. Some people might freak out looking at this P-type map. We'll see what it does. Just based on 700 millibar, I would say this precip shield is going to make it pretty far. But I wouldn't be, especially Bronx, right, Ashan? So you're on the north side, I think. I wouldn't be too concerned. I think even if you do, you're still gonna get your stuff beforehand. I think so. I could bust terribly with that idea, but I'm gonna lean on it until the event. Because you gotta rely on the specifics of the end result, guys. That is what you have to lock into. You can't obsess over the models. The models are going to go back and forth. The only models you should obsess for are not the weather ones. Do what you want. All right, I'm not going to go too far off the deep end. I know it is out on Pivotal already, Kevin, and I'm not happy. But Pivotal ruins my computer. The Pivotal takes so much energy up, so I cannot really use Pivotal as much as I would like to at times. Still not there yet, but actually maybe I can get an 850. Yes, and there you go. You can see it. Look at this, especially even from just 12. Notable difference. And that's why when we were talking about it, it's why I think Long Island has a better chance to stay all snow in theory. It doesn't mean New York City doesn't stay all snow. But Long Island has a better chance to stay snow for longer. But New York City might have a higher ceiling. So keep that in mind. Yeah, like I said, so my man, I think I've been calling you CB19. I'm going to stick with it. CB19. This is going to be not Boston Storm for hitting the ceiling. But this does not mean Boston can still not get a solid accumulating snowfall. This does not mean Boston cannot get a good 1 to 3, 2 to 4 out of this. That's still on the table. I'm not ready to go quite higher yet, just because of how sharp the cutoff I think still will be of the heaviest precip. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe since we have such a good, relative humidity. Listen, I'm going to throw something out there that I think since we have such an expansive saturation, once you get saturated in these events with the warm air advection, it tends to leap to the northern fringe of where the saturation is. And this is why I need you guys to understand this could be one of those events where the banding goes way farther north than you thought it was going to be. Way farther north. And so that's why I say go to the low-level jet core, go to the nose of it, and then go 30 to 50 to even as much as 100 miles with at least this setup. Yes, pause, Celtics. CB19. You know, my head's in a good space to know that you went there before I did. So we can talk about it. I'm sure there's plenty of people that were just blindly following models, blindly and just saying, oh, this is it. Nowhere beyond here is getting good snow. And that's just how it goes. And I just don't believe that at all. There's just, for me with this setup from the beginning, there's been not enough for me to suggest that this is going to be a suppression. It's why that AIGFS, we said not confident in it. But we'll see. We'll see the specifics here. Maybe models are overestimating how well saturated we're going to be here on the northern fringe. But even then, to the extent of which we are, if that's the northern fringe, let's say it's overdoing this, and let's say it's like 50 miles off and it's here, you still tend to see it go to the edge there. That means everybody from here to here is locked in for heavy snowfall. And there's your P-type map now. Now, here's the question. I wonder how much, so there's going to be some decaying of the band, because it will peak, you'll notice. I wonder if we'll still be good enough here, because you see how it peaks around here, that's your strongest point, and it kind of decays. And then the heaviest gets reserved offshore, with still plenty more, still really solid banding, still actually moving through. Just not that. This right here is dumpage all throughout here, and along the band too, along the band as well, but in particular on the other side of 700. That's where you look. And so this is why some of these areas, the models just don't tend to show it as accurately as it ends up being. This right here suggests maybe not as heavy as a few frames earlier. This suggests right here, boom, moderate to heavy band of snow right all through here. Moderate heavy bands of snow all throughout here. And you still get good stuff throughout here. You still get good banding all throughout here. But then let's see how long it lasts. Because this is going to be a case where, look now it's almost a pivot axis to the southeast. You see that? It's almost a pivot point. And then look at all those dynamics still moving through. Look at all those 700 dynamics still moving through at that point. They're light to moderate. They're not heavy. Let's check our saturation. And you still got some saturation there. But yeah, at the lower levels, not as much. So I wonder to see how well about here. A little bit. So you're still with west of Boston. And then south of Boston, but interesting. And then let's see the QPF we get here. Surprised it's not more, to be honest, some of these areas. Very surprised. I thought it would be even a little bit more here. But we're not really worried about the specifics of the OZ Euro. Just kind of getting an idea, showing that max area. Again, 1/2 inch to 0.7 inches of QPF. I wonder what it does for ratios. Yeah. I mean, solid ratio there. You want to compare? There you go. You want to look at this fun snow, and this will be 10-1, so won't be perfect, but you can get the idea. Very solid. And it tends to do well on QPF here, guys, in terms of placement. Now, it won't get the exact idea of the mesoscale banding, and it won't get that stuff right. But in terms of overall general QPF and the placement, this model tends to do pretty well with that. Were you on Twitter the last few days, you would have lost your mind? I'm sure I would have. Guys, I almost lost my mind just trying to navigate, just accidentally getting onto it for a second. When I was switching accounts. I was just for a second. You see the stuff pop up, the 2 or 3 posts. I was trying to get out of there, but you can only get out so fast. I just can't stand it, and it's professional Mets too. It's not just. It's just not great. So, I think we could. Maybe we get on there. We'll throw it. I'll be back. Schwarzenegger post. Probably throw one of those on there. But if we do, I don't think I can stare. Hello from France. Well, welcome, DJ. Is France getting snow right now? You can let me know about that. But if we do come back, I just don't see myself doing it the same way. At least try not to. I just can't take it because it's just inaccuracy. The goal is for forecasting to get the end result. Why are we not forecasting for that? Why are we saying, oh, this is my first call map 3 days out that is not going to be anywhere close to accurate? My first call map is just a depiction of what the models show now. What is the point of that then? You're not forecasting. You're just relying on what the models show. Merry Christmas to you, DJ3615. And happy holidays as well. I hope you're enjoying it, your Christmas day there. I hope you're getting some snow. But what's the point of that, of throwing a map 2.5 days out to just be completely wrong and just be a depiction of what models are showing now? That does nothing. That does nothing. And then you're going to throw 4 more maps out there in between, and you might even get farther away from the result because you're just looking at models and going, oh yeah, this is what they show now. And then you'll say forecasting stuff, but then what your maps show will be exactly model depictions of like literally snowfall maps and P-type maps. And then maybe they throw a little bit of their knowledge and like, oh, cold, it's warm air advection. I'm going to take off some here. And I can't stand that. I just can't stand that. I can't stand looking at that. I can't stand people that are way smarter than that to do that. I just can't. It to my core, for whatever reason, as a forecaster. Is it that serious? No. But in terms of weather forecasting and trying to, just analyze and track this stuff and enjoy it as much as I can to the maximum, that can't be done if I'm looking at all that stuff and seeing it. So this is what I'm talking about. People assume I left because of my mentions. That was not the case. Really was not the case. Do I get some annoying mentions from time to time? Yes. That is not why. That is not why I've taken my hiatus here for the last couple weeks. Not why I took my break. Well, hopefully that provides some perspective on that. And then let's look beyond that for a second. Man, I really kind of like what we did here. That block. I really like what we did here, though, guys. We cut into that ridge a little bit. It's not quite, and we're tapping in to subtropical jet more. This reminds me of one of those setups last year almost. But the difference is you don't have a confluence stopping here, and you do have a strong high pressure, but it gets squeezed out before and kind of get pushed up. I don't know about makeup. I think you're still going to do fine before, though. I got to see it to believe it. I got to see it. We got to get to almost near the point. It's going to be hard to steer me away from saying that New York City is not going to get at least several inches of snow from this. But yes, some light snow after on the backside. It's possible. I don't know. You do have a confluence to the east. You do. You have a confluence here to the east, and you have a high pressure. But I don't know if it's far enough south. We have got to assume models are underdoing the block, just like they did for the previous systems. Past two systems, they did it to a T, underestimated the block in this time frame, and then hope that it gets the job done. Because out ahead of the system, the cold air is not fantastic. It's going to have to be a storm track. And I'm surprised this isn't further south than last time. Is it just further southwest? I mean, in theory, it's in a better spot. But, because this is going to be a dynamic system. And then we'll keep an eye on after that, too. We'll keep an eye on closer to New Year's. I was a little dismissive. I was a little more dismissive of that because there was a little bit better ensemble support than I was looking at. So, I mean, I like the way January's setting up too. I like it a lot. I'm not sure I like it as much as BAM WX does. I mean, I like it. Well, I might, but if you go watch one of his videos, you might think you're in for the storm of the century. he's got some snow people fired up. The head of BAM there. I mean, I think he's pretty insightful. He's got some good stuff. I don't always agree with everything he does, but he makes a good point. When I see his YouTube videos, if you don't like what he's saying, why don't you go, make the point. Why don't you go make a map yourself then and forecast it? And he's right. A lot of people just get onto Twitter and then they just type away at everybody's stuff at what they think they're doing wrong. And then when they're wrong, they don't have to worry about any backlash because they were just typing comments and replies. Twitter fingers. But yes, I think January looks pretty solid. I just think this winter has looked solid a lot of this time right now. Man. Guys, if we get that block, if we could just, we're doing it. You see the difference there? You see the difference, what we're doing? Look at from 06 here. There's 12. There's 18. And there's OZ. You see what we're doing with the block? We're seeing it. We just got to go a little bit more overtime here. We gotta get this here. We gotta get the We got to get this a little further south. So, because the ridge placement now is much better. Take a look at the ridge placement from OZ last night. You see that? That's much better. But yet at the same time, notice the orientation is a little bit different. It's now pulling in the subtropical jet with this system way more. These two pieces of energy are kind of phasing a bit earlier instead of this just being closed off. So this is forcing this to open up more. Excuse me, which increases the ceiling of this event exactly what we want it to do. Exactly. We pushed the western ridge more. We did that. That's step one. We've done that. Step two, this block here. This block here is the next step. If we do it, it's going to be a major snowstorm. If we don't, maybe it's some backside snow at best. It's a really boom or bust here. I can't frame it anymore. In terms of likelihood, again, it's hard. So much of my attention has been focused on Friday, and then it was focused on the previous system before that. It's really difficult. GFS. Yeah, similar orientation. It's actually not that far off from the Euro AI. One thing we will have working for us here in this setup is we're going to have a really good snowpack at that point. Because also, look what we do temperature-wise in between these setups here. Now, in between, that's the problem. We're gonna need that block to work a little bit more. But you can see after this setup here, Saturday's pretty cold, Sunday starts cold, and then it's already next system. So we're gonna have some snowpack to work with after that. So models can underestimate that a little bit too. And we'll see about the staying power of the cold at that point then. Because you see how we really need this to dig in more. Now we love stream separation. We love North Atlantic ridging, but we need this bad boy to extend more down to here as well. And so I'll see what the ensembles look like as well. I have to rely a little bit more on guidance than I wanted for this system, just because it's been really hard to deep dive. I like doing research. I like doing looking at past setups. I like looking at past history. Guys, I work really, and that's not pat on the back. It's not, I'm just telling you what I do. I work really hard. It take a lot of time. So technology is amazing. We can speed this up now, with, all the, AI stuff we have, we can speed up this research process, but it still takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort, energy. And that's just almost so much I have, especially holidays. I mean, I was trying to stay up to date on my phone today instead of iPad and laptop. But here, in the short term, we still have more setups to track here. See what the Euro does. A little bit farther north with this. And then God knows what it does after. Jesus. I don't know what that is, but does something. Pretty rare you see that. The block over Greenland is so strong that you get a storm track of here on this run. You get a storm track over us. We're still cold. We're on the cold side of a system moving like this. You get rain into southern Greenland on this. That's hilarious. That's a historic run that you don't realize many probably, but that is hilarious. Yeah, it's just, I mean, in theory, a positively tilted system like that with still a confluence still back here, in theory, I've seen this before. This looks eerily similar to what we did last winter, and that usually takes a little bit while. These pieces to come together, it's usually not quite as clean as what you're seeing. So that could be something we have going for us, but at the same time, there's nothing stopping right here. So it can also come together pretty quickly. But we'll see. We'll see here, so. But it's something to track. Something to track. In terms of specifics, I don't have a clue yet. I'm not going to lie. I just have an idea. Canadian GDPS and Canadian now we're talking. The Canadian is all over this. Canadian is very close to this being a blizzard. Very, very close. The thermal map is a mess, but Canadian, the AI Canadian is very close. Wonder what the regular Canadian looks like. Not quite. It tries to have some fun after New Year's, but halted. But in theory, let's see. Let's go take a look at Japan. When in doubt, go to Japan. And then we'll go make our threat map. And we'll call it a night. And I will be posting to YouTube posts. And there's your amplification. So in theory, that is going to show up downstream about 10 to 15 days as well. So somewhere around that first week of January, I'd keep an eye on there being a pretty big snowstorm in the eastern U.S., northeast U.S. I would keep an eye on that. And the amplification continues. Let's go back another day. Much farther can I go back? We might have to go to tidbits here for a second. Just don't crash my freaking screen. This is probably the thing I love most about GFS is the zoom in on the west pack that you hear. See 500 volt. So yeah, so stay tuned here. What better do you do? We got snowstorm coming. Come on, stay up with me here. We got snowstorm. Let's go back. Yep. We did have, see this system move through here. So in theory, probably about 10 to 14-ish days, a week and a half to 2 weeks, we'll see that bad boy from that time frame. So now, in theory, about 7 to 10 days from now. since it's a few days after. We should see that guy. That amplification. And then from there, first, second week of January. No. They tried to crash. It's trying to. Don't do it. Tidbits, stop it. It's trying to crash my screen here. Oh, I can't stand Tidbits. This is why I can't stand it. Can't. Please make a website where people can use it. So we're going to have to do this. The annoying? Yes. But let's. So, so that's kind of what we got. I think we're looking pretty solid here in the January. Um, but we'll make it. Bring in the Euro a little bit of a baseline here in terms of like PPF, like a general close idea. But because we need to, it's just visually to help stimulate my thoughts. That's how we'll do it. So let's make our snow map here. And Photoshop is just taking for years to load. See, this is what Tidbits does. Let's quit Epic Pen for a second here. Let's force quit Photoshop again and reload it because it's lost. Also, I'm pretty sure the MJO is just going to do like a very quick loop-de-loop as well. It's going to do such a fast loop. If it even does. I haven't looked at it in a couple days, the forecast for it, but I think we're going to be in a good spot for there as well. And I just can't click on Photoshop. So if I can't click on this, we're not going to be making a threat map tonight, guys. I'm not going to lie. As soon as I opened Tidbits, my computer went to absolute crap. But give me a second here. We're loading it. We'll be patient. Do we have any questions regarding this is the time right now as we're going to be trying to make the map here. Do we have any questions about This is the time where you can ask about your spots, and I can't guarantee answers, but I can do my best to give you kind of what my thoughts were. Can ask about Monday, Tuesday. Can ask about long range thoughts beyond that. Now's the time. I don't know if this is going to load. How many individual snowflakes will fall in your yard? I don't know. That is a good question, though, if you really think about it. A million? Is that too much to say? A million? 500,000? I don't know. Fall River, Massachusetts, for sale. Well, you definitely are going to get me to answer your question because you sent a super chat. Fall River, I think Fall River's actually in a decent spot. A decent spot. Not a great spot, but a decent spot. I'd be surprised if you didn't get at least 1 to 3. But I do think you have some 3 to 6 potential with this. I do. It could be a stretch, we'll see, but I think it's possible. Seriously, not a question, but the EPS looks way more juicy than 12Z today for Friday. I don't know if we're going to be able to make a threat map here. I know I promised it, but if Photoshop does not load, we're not going to be able to do it. AI ensembles as well. We'll go look at that in a second. At the moment, I can't click on anything Photoshop related. So I may have to make my threat map after this, and then I will post it. Here's something you guys need to know right now. I am posting like several times a day typically, especially during storms, at least on YouTube. The community tab posts. So if you ever want to go check in what my thoughts are on stuff, go to the community tab, go to the posts, and it will be there right now. Or turn my notifications on. I think they show up for posts. I could be wrong. But let's take a look at those ensembles, because I guess I can't look at Photoshop. But apparently I have to open Photoshop before I do anything else. Oh, there we go. That didn't happen last time. I couldn't click on it before. So let's see. We'll let it sit there. Let's hope it can load. But we'll look at the ensembles, because why not? I'd be happy with 2 to 4. I think you have it. It's hard. I'm going a little back and forth on it because of the cutoff. But we looked at it. I think there's enough to support that. It's not just this clear-cut, sharp cutoff. There's more to it than that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Love that look there. Yep. Very solid, too. Yep. Both of these fall in line. Now, usually these take forever, but we'll see if it's out. Come on, son. We'll just go here. Hey, we're going to be making a threat map. Fantastic. Fantastico. Where do we make the last threat map? Here we go. Run, run, Rudolph, Santa's gonna make it down. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted for saying that song. And you take every way down. Oh yeah. I know some people in Jersey don't love it, in PA, but sorry. Yo soy loving it. Yeah, it's pretty solid. Are those panels out? Nah, no shot. Whoa. Look at those are at 24. Okay. So we can look at the panels. So let's see if this is a result of some being further north, some not. Let's see. Boy, there. First look, there are some juiced. There are some juiced members here. Yeah, looks like there's a bit of a spread. You can clearly see there's a cluster here. Sorry, I don't have my pen tool, but follow the cursor. Yeah. But we'll look at the percentiles. That will give a clearer idea. So that's the 10th percentile right there. That means 10% of all members are showing, or 90% of all members are showing like 5+ inches or a half inch of QPF all snow through here, almost. The 25th percentile, that looks fantastic. There's your average, mean almost, close to. There's your 75th, that means this is the top 25% of all. And here's your top 10%. As you can see. Muy bien, muy bueno. And EPS is not there yet. But if we want to cheat ahead, we can. But it's still not out, so let's start working on that threat map here. Okay. Okay. Well, fortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to keep what we did here in our work. As good as it looks. So let's go to LeBron James. Okay. Okay. Delete, delete. There. One, okay. I still haven't figured out the magic wand special tool here. I figured out the first time, and ever since then I have not. I was trying to help ChatGPT walk me through it. Could not, unfortunately. Um, so I can get an idea. Let me get my 10 to 1 map here, because that's all I care about. Sorry, that's the ensemble mean. It's just a little bit more spread. I just can't, because it just the spread messes with things. So we're gonna have to rely on the operational a little bit. Um, let's see, make sure a lot of that. See, so that's where we gotta go here. Okay. Again, for those of you that think I just copy and paste snowfall maps, that's not what I do. Not what I do. Now, we're going to go pretty well here into Jersey. Because of coding. Alrighty. And this is why, if I can ever figure out the magic wand tool, it will be awesome. So I don't have to do this on the borders. And then, well, I guess I can go all the way to the border. And I will, because I look at 500 millibar Vort. I concur. I don't need to be that clean because it's going to get written over anyways, but we like to be. Now, do I? We'll play it a little conservative for now. I don't want to overdo the north edge. I think that will be pretty sharp still. What's the ensemble mean show? Okay. We'll go. Now the question is, do we go 2 layers or 3 layers? That's the biggest question for me right now. We'll go 2. We'll play it a little safe. Now we'll go. What did I click on? Oh, whoa. I don't know what was going on there, but details, details, details here. I am still watching chat, so if you have questions, let them loose. I'm gonna go off more feel here. I'll account for a little bit more southerly than I would explicitly. Not suddenly, just dynamic cooling powers, maybe. And what color do we want to go? I feel like that's really drastic. If we go a little bit, we go here, but no. What do you think? Should we go the light blue or should we go more the turquoise blue? Or should we go in between here? What do you guys think? Actually, that looks alright. I might go that, unless you guys like a different color. So there's a little bit to get a little cleaner. Some of these don't look as messy. There we go. Now, yeah, we'll put the 28th. Why not? I almost want to include the cape more, though. I think I'm going to do that. That looks a little better. Now, this is really what you guys care more about. More. No. Mm. First. going to be such a high ratio snow. So I don't really hate this. I mean, in the interior, it'll be such a high ratio snow, but I just don't know if some of those Eastern Mass places I put in, I really want to put more 3. But the thing is, this is what I ran into last time with the threat map. If I put 3 to 4 plus, people are going to think, oh man, he's really thinking this is not that much of an event. Do we get ballsy and just say 3.5? You know what? We'll do plowable. We'll just plowable so much better. Right? I mean, that just is. Okay. When did we start this? 1? Close to 1 we started this, so 1. Well, last threat map we made was 1228. 12. 25. That feels weird to say. 12, 25, 25. Okay. And then we'll put out our probably Friday morning. Probably Friday late morning. If I had to guess, we'll put out our snowfall map, since we have the threat map out. So, and then we'll refine it. But if you we'll post this to YouTube posts as well. So it's good, we're getting the threat map out there, good 36, 48 hours before the event, depending on where exactly you live. But 12, 25, 25, and we'll go here, save, and then we'll file, we'll export. Let's see, comments and posts. Yeah, comment on the TJ saying comment on the M ping. Yeah, that guy was crazy, but it was really helpful. That channel. Sorry, I don't want to view LeBron. Posts. Will let me post from here? Yes, it will. If I can find it. Where'd you go? No, that's not it. How far in advance did I put that? Is that a different event? Oh yeah, okay, I remember that one now. I'll find you. Here we go. Yeah, but don't do that. Oh, that's just a preview? Okay. Yeah, that's a good preview. Nah. When I type those stuff out, I have to think about what the worst comment could be and how we try to make sure we don't create that. So let's create as minimal drama as possible. But yeah, so there's that posted. Maybe you can take a look at some of these panels here. But yeah, that's our threat map. Let me get the pen tool out. Basically, this line, I could easily see this being more here, but I just think when you get these warm air advection events, that cutoff, right, is sharp in terms of the heaviest axis, but that moderate to heavy axis, but it tends to be more expansive. Just does that northward push, and then I also think there's just going to be some on the backside as well that swings through. So have that going through, and it will be just cold snow. It'll be rather cold snow after that. And then this initial push, guys, it's going to be really like a 3 to 6 hour time frame of just very heavy rates out into these places here. Maybe a little bit longer, we'll see, but it's going to be a really quick. It's going to be a really quick thumpage. Keep that in mind. It's going to be a very quick thumpage. And then within these areas, I think we're going to have an area somewhere. No, this could push a little bit, but let's. I think somewhere. I guess we can. Stay just south of me, so we don't include myself in it. I guess it doesn't matter, but that's the best area. This is the best area though for 6+. This whole area will not see 6+, but this to me is some of the best area to see 6+. And this could extend a little bit back more. We'll see. But these are kind of my thoughts. So if you just want the accurate thoughts instead of just verbatimly reading this and just only taking this out of context without everything else we've said, then maybe it can be a little tricky. But and then I also think it's really wherever somewhere within this, I'm going to put an area of 6 to 12 plus. I think that's what we're going to go with. Maybe if we get closer and it seems really good for QPF, maybe we go an 8 to 14, and we go 4 to 8 on the fringes and the outside of that. But for the moment, that's kind of my thinking. Because there's just not enough to justify. There could be some really local area if you combine those coldest temperatures with the best dynamics, with the most amount of moisture. Somewhere we could have some pockets of 12 to 15 plus. It wouldn't shock me here. Wouldn't shock me if we have some pockets of 12 to 15 plus here. I don't know about here. I guess in theory, but and that wouldn't shock me. Certainly wouldn't shock me if we had some pockets of 12 to 15 plus. Some pockets of 12 to 16 inches, something like that. Certainly in play. But for the moment, we'll go with 6 to 12 plus, and we'll kind of stick with that. And let me take a look at Monday, Tuesday. Can I edit this? Let me provide a link. To my stream, so that I can directly link it and say, hey, this is my Also, I've been watching some of this channel lately. Guys, this right here is freaking awesome. This channel right here. Weather and more. If you want to relive the winter of 2015, you can do that on this channel here. I mean, they got all those. If you, especially in New England, you probably love it. Go out. I've said this before. Go out and check this channel out. It's fantastic. It's all Weather Channel past coverage. Back, when I had all those greats there still. I think they're still okay, but it's just not. To me, it's just not the same level of what it used to be. No disrespect if anybody is from there watching. It doesn't take anything away from the meteorologists themselves. It's just what gets produced. Now, I think it has more to do with their owner, to be honest, and IBM and what they bought, how they got bought out. But that sidetrack point. I will not be posting a Santa tracker either. And then you can hopefully click on it and see the entire thing. Fantastic. Wonderful. All right. Now let's check out Monday, Tuesday. It's kind of a 50-50 setup. I mean, I like it. I like that. But we got to do that. And we got to push on it. How many more northern shifts do you anticipate? Or how much further north can it go? I'm on the edge here in northern New Jersey. I think northern New Jersey is in a good spot. I wouldn't worry too much. I think we'll see. I think there will be a little bit of wiper effect here, a little bit, and then the end result will end up, still being similar to maybe what you see on guidance right now. So, but if you're in northern New Jersey, especially northeast, northern New Jersey, in that north or that northwestern tip, I wouldn't worry too much. Now, if you're south of New York City, northern New Jersey, and so many would consider that more central Jersey, potentially. It depends, but I'd be a little bit more worried. A little bit. But this was a pretty good. This was a really good 12Z to OZ here, guys. This was really good for Monday, Tuesday. If you do that a few more times, even a couple more times. Come on now. You got plenty of stream separation here for this 50-50-ish low. Plenty. If you're north of the city, I would not worry. Now, if you're like well north, if you're like, you say north of the city and you're like here, that may be a little bit different. Even then, still, I think you'd be okay. Now, but especially like here north of the city, here, like these are all good spots. Bergen County. Is it Bergen or Bergen? Nobody told me that last time, so hope someone helps me with that. High Point, great spot to be. Really all these places here in northern New Jersey, really confident about. Little less confidence in this right here, south of the city. Basically south of Staten Island. Little less confidence. But in this, pretty confident in Long Island though. Should be in a decent spot. We talked about it. I think it's a pretty widespread area, guys, of like 3 to 6, 4 to 8, and we're gonna have we might have a good solid area of 6 to 12 too. So that's kind of probably what the map will look like come tomorrow the next day. How does this relate to? It's similar. Okay. It kind of tries to. It's a little tricky. Let me see the panels. Let me see what's going on under the hood here. Where the hood at? Okay. The moment are a lot more north, but you see, you got a boy here. You got some guys close, not there, but close. Yeah, you got a couple. You got a few actually. No, you got some. You got some members here, so the way I said it, fantastic. Thank you, Adam Sims, Bergen County. Thank you for applying that as well. Very helpful. Yeah. Yeah, there's some. There are some sold, and I don't know what that mix line, how accurate it actually is, but do this a couple more times. Do what we did from 12Z to OZ, and again, 5 days out. 5 days out. It's a long time. Four and a half, 5 days out, so we still got some time here. We got a lot of time, but as you can see, the same areas we talked about last night, still here. It's hard to look away to say that these areas don't have a higher margin for error, and then while here, a little bit less certain. And then here, pray for the heavens when it comes to that system. But maybe if you're lucky, you get a little backsides now. But for you guys here, take advantage of this system. Convert that, and you'll be in good shape. Think about it. Let's say New York City, we convert here. North Jersey, New York City, Long Island, we convert this here. I'm talking more specific those areas. I mean, it turns into one of the better Decembers of this decade. No, not just this decade, but even the decade before that. It turns into one of the better Decembers of all time. Dare I say all time? Yeah, it probably turns into a top 10 December of all time. Is it historic? No, not even close, but it's a pretty good December. It's a pretty good December, and there was a lot of people who were not happy. So let's hope we can change that narrative as we go into January. Because only for so much longer you can say, you can only say for so much longer. When are we going to get good snow? You can only say that for so much longer. And at that point, you're just looking for a needle in a haystack then. You're searching hard for something that probably shouldn't be looking for. You're not going to find it. Expecting any mixing in New York City or straight snow? So here's been my take with New York City, guys. And it saves me some grace here. I think regardless of mixing in New York City, regardless, I think you're going to make out just fine. I think. I'm not 100% confident, but I think. Because you're going to get You have dynamic cooling in play, and you would get a solid front end thump, regardless. Which makes me hard to think that New York City is gonna get less than 2-4 or 3-6. I really think New York City. I would be hard pressed to believe that New York City, this area here, into the boroughs, especially the northern boroughs, especially, would not get 3-6 plus here. You know what? To my head right now, I would probably lean 3-6, 4-8 in the city itself right now. That's where I'm leaning. Just to the north, I think once we get into Hudson Valley, it just coincidentally with this storm is kind of like that. We start going more 6-12 plus, and we'll see. That area could get to here, could get here. Here, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what this will look like. Let's see how far. But that's where my head is at right now. I think as a floor, I would say 1-3, middle ground 3-6, 4-8, and a ceiling of 8-12 in New York City. That's where I would go right now. That's where I'm leaning. So yes, it's a range, but when we're talking about, when we talk about bigger storms and we start talking about potential, yeah, that range will mix a little bit. But we're providing you. My goal is to give you the best preparation I can in terms. Well, my goal is to forecast the storm as well as I can, and part of the messaging is to give you the scenarios so that when something happens with this storm, you can say, okay, Brady mentioned it, or this girl mentioned it. You are not unprepared for what's going to happen. That is an important thing for me. Is that when something happens, you go, oh, I remember he mentioned that. So he said it was a possibility. So at least, maybe it wasn't perfect with his forecast, but at least he mentioned that. And so, we can he was able, to at least, I wasn't surprised that this was happening. My worst forecasts are when something happens that I was not prepared for it to happen. And I did not predict at all. My worst forecasts are not the one that I was aware I didn't necessarily predict it. Because I can say I went with what I thought at the time. We just went somewhere else. My biggest fear as a forecaster, not really fear, because it's not the end of the world, but is providing a forecast and something happens after, and I did not even mention it. That's my that's what concerns me forecasting. Yes, still live. Not for too much longer though. So yeah, these are my thoughts. It's hard because this is not a case where I'm thinking about the north edge is going to be is not going to be too bad, and it's just going to be the mixing line. This is a double. This is what we call a double entendre. I don't know, whatever you want to say. I don't know what it. Honestly, I hear that word, and honestly, I don't know what always that means. So it lets you know my academic capabilities. But I mean, I'm pretty smart. Street smart. The north edge is tough. This north edge is going to be really tough. And the southern edge is going to be tough. So there's a lot that can go wrong here in this forecast. There's a lot that can go wrong here. Just when we're talking about multiple areas that can go wrong. So it's going to be tricky, but we're going to do our best here. Again, at a minimum, highlight what could be happening at a minimum. But especially if you're in southern New England, Hudson Valley, northeast PA, central New York. A lot of good, lot of, a lot of good stuff here. What you're seeing on guidance, you can't really complain too much about it. Really solid. And now it's going to be a matter of specifics of the. I hope we've mentioned enough too. This is going to be. There's going to be probably quarter-inch, half-inch icing potential here for somebody. Unfortunately, in PA, it's just got one of those PA ice events written all over it. Mix line, northern fringe, backside snow, QPF, covering all these things here with this system. Ratios, all these things are going to play factors. So there's, again, we say it every setup, it's tricky. Forecasting snow is tricky, guys. It's never easy. Some are pretty, but I think this will get a little bit more straightforward tomorrow. But again, those little nuances of those 10 to 20 miles on those northern fringe, I think the northern fringe will be a little bit easier than the southern part of this in terms of the snow shield. Now, the northern edge of that heaviest precip, that can always be a little bit tricky. And then the exact mix line, 10 million people that live here, or the 15 million plus 20 million all around here, this area. We all know 10 miles could be the difference between 2 inches and 8 inches. And then everybody freaks out. So it is a tricky. What happened to my opacity here? Why is this faded? Huh? Did anybody notice when this happened? Well, I gotta fix this. No. Is this just a glitch in the pen tool here? What the heck happened? Wait. Ah, there we go. Fantastic. There's the OCD kicking in. Got to get the answer then. But yeah, again, I'm going to say this again. Things you want to look at. Core of the low level jet here. I don't know if we looked at it on this run. You look for the core, and that's even stronger on this run. You look for the core of the low-level jet here, which is right here. There's your core, and then you go about 30-ish to about 100 miles. From there, and it just so happens to be kind of on the edge of here, and you can kind of tend to see that overperform. Still snowing here, likely. And so this area here, then, if you want to look at it based, if you want to use the model runs for what's actually going to happen, this would be your heaviest axis of precipitation. And let's see how that lines up. close. Pretty close. Like we said, 500 millibar don't lie either. 500 millibar system's moving over through. It's not like a 500 millibar below. Take a look. In theory, I'd be looking right to here. In here. This is where I'd be looking. If we were just looking at 500, that's where I'd be looking. And with the juice going on right there. We were just looking at 500. So you gotta get back to some of the basic meteorology when you're looking at stuff. Just like what we were looking at with 250 on a lot of these model runs beforehand, and saying with the system from like 2 weeks ago, we had to look at that and go, yeah, well, what is the stuff showing? And that's why I thought we were gonna do pretty well. Now, the ratios on the ocean enhancement part, we didn't do as well on. So, I couldn't really, we did so well in some other parts that, I don't think I deserve to go below a B on the forecast, the B range, but we definitely could not get anywhere to the A range because of that. And look at all these dynamics that still need to kind of slide through. So it's just probably going to rot out on Saturday for southern New England and pretty much same places. Just rots out. So that's the idea. All right. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. We will post a video for those that celebrate at least. We will put a video out or a stream tomorrow night. Hopefully a stream, be on the lookout, and then probably Friday morning we will put our final snow map out there. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope you get the presents you want. No coal. Remember, don't try to go see Santa. That's not going to work. You won't get your presents then. So it was the night before Christmas. Have a great sleep, everybody. Appreciate it.